Good evening and welcome. Tonight, more talks on terror attacks as President Goodluck Jonathan joins other African leaders in Niger Republic tomorrow to discuss solution. Nigerian Navy arrests foreign ship on the coast of Nigeria's oil-rich river state with over 6,000 metric tons of automotive gas oil. More honors for Channels Television as African American community gives Chairman Mr. John Momoh Africa's Excellence in Journalism Award. And a nurse in Spain diagnosed with Ebola virus disease, the first known case outside Africa in current outbreak.
On business news, financial markets across the country, including the Nigerian Stock Exchange, are closed today to celebrate Eid al-Kabir.
And on sports news tonight, Super Falcons coach Edwin Okon believes his team can reclaim the African Women's Championship. Over 15 heads of state and government from the African continent are expected to meet in Niamey, the capital of Niger Republic, tomorrow. The discussion is to center on collaboration on the war against terror. The meeting is coming against the backdrop of an earlier one held in Paris, hosted by French President François Hollande, where the president of Niger, Chad, Cameroon and Benin Republic agreed to renew periodically the progress made in the fight against terror. Only today, the Nigerian troops scored a big victory as they sacked Boko Haram members from Baza and Michika towns in Adamawa State. A military source told Channels Television today that aside from those two towns, the military has also established strong presence in Gulak and Madagali in Borno State. The former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar has asked the federal government to give more powers to the states to give room for development. He was speaking in Ado-Ekiti, the Ekiti state capital, where he commissioned a 300-bed general hospital. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who also commended the governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayomi, insists that the All Progressive Congress has all it takes to win elections in 2015.
It's barely 1 week after the former head of state, General Muhammadu Buhari, visited Ekiti State in southwest Nigeria. His mission was to commission a project. Now it's the turn of the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar. His mission is also to commission a project, a health facility of 300 beds in the state capital. Alhaji Atiku, who looks to be eyeing the presidency in the 2015 elections under the opposition party APC, believes more powers be devolved to state for better and speedy development.
In the last 2 months, I have been visiting states and commissioning roads, schools, hospitals, water supply projects, and so on and so forth. None of them is a federal project. They are all state projects. So why can't we not devolve more powers to the states and give them more resources and leave the federal government with very little foreign affairs, defense, currency, so that in fact the presidency will be less attractive.
It is a well-known dictum that health is wealth. If you do not take care of the condition of your people in terms of their human development, it is difficult to excite them and to commit them to good governance. And what we have done with this edifice, as well as 18 general hospitals around our 16 local governments that have been commissioned also in the course of this 4th anniversary, to let our people know that we are committed to their well-being.
In an interview with the former VP, he insists the APC has all it takes to clinch votes come 2015 general elections.
This is the first time, Nigerians are given an opportunity to change a government because there is now a viable opposition strong as the ruling party, broad, and also has a more friendly ideological, posture, to the people of this country.
Perhaps these visits to Ekiti State may be to showcase themselves and test their acceptability. Loretta Chiogo, Channels Television News.
The forward operating base of the Nigerian Navy, Bonny, in Rivers State, has intercepted a foreign ship with 14 Filipinos, 4 Ukrainians, and a Russian on board, with over 6,000 metric tons of automotive gas oil for allegedly doing business on Nigerian waters illegally. The commanding officer of the FOB, Bonny, told Channels Television that in the sustained fight against all forms of maritime crimes in the country, the base has also made substantial arrests in the last 2 weeks. Our Rivers State correspondent Emmanuel Oreni reports.
Men of the Nigerian Navy with armed personnel aboard a gunboat as they sail on Bonny anchorage in Rivers State. The voyage leads to vessels arrested by the FOB Bonny allegedly for various illegal maritime crimes. According to the commanding officer, the latest arrests are 2 fishing trawlers caught within 5 nautical miles off the coast, which, according to the Navy, contravenes maritime laws. It also appears that the crew do not have the relevant documents for their operation.
We are engaged in fishing within 5 nautical miles, which is a contravention of the condition listed in their shipping licenses. In addition to that, they were also not having some relevant documents, and it is in the light of this that I have the directive from the Naval Headquarters through my headquarters, the Eastern Naval Command, to hand over these vessels to the Department of Fisheries.
And there is more. A foreign tanker carrying over 6,000 metric tons of AGO with Filipinos, Ukrainians and a Russian operating illegally on Nigerian waters is also anchored.
A tanker, empty Anuket Pier, is a foreign vessel and it's a Malta flag vessel which was caught offshore Bonny Forward with some products on board. AGO about 6,000 metric tons without any document. What we observed was that these foreign vessels come into the country without proper documentation, transact businesses and carry on and just go like that.
The captain of one of the arrested fishing trawlers, however, insists that his operations are not illegal.
I was heading east, where Petroleum was heading west. So they said they just want to check, they came on their normal checking. Immediately they boarded the vessel, then the order came from NNS Thunder that we should be heading Bonny. They didn't ask any question. That's how we found ourselves here.
The naval authorities tell us that in spite of the challenges of making these arrests, the Nigerian Navy remains committed to ridding the nation's territorial waters of criminal activities. From Bonny Island, Emmanuel Iri, Channels Television News.
The management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, the NNPC, today raised an alarm over the circulation of fake letters of authorization purported to be from the NNPC to buy and or sell Nigerian crude oil. The NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Mr. Ohialegbe, in a statement today, warns that the public should be wary of persons with fraudulent intentions circulating letters authorizing the lifting of Bonny Light crude oil from Nigeria. A paragraph in one of the fake letters of authorization in circulation reads, "We hereby confirm that the NNPC has entered into contractual arrangements directly with Lavi International Co. to supply Bonny Light crude oil to Lavi International Co. associated refineries and or global traders, and that Lavi International Co. has the power and authority to sell or otherwise deal with the Bonny Light crude oil." End of quote. The NNPC, however, states that Lavi International Co. is not one of its crude oil off-takers for the 2014-2015 term contract period, and therefore has not been allocated any crude oil volume as speculated in the fake letter of authorization. And now we move on to a bright note as the award season in Channels Television continues, as the chairman CEO, Mr. John Momoh, became the recipient of the Constituency for Africa's Excellence in Journalism Award as part of this year's Ronald H. Brown African Affairs series. The award was presented at a stakeholders' dinner where the African American community got to learn more about the organization. Our correspondent Amarachi Ubani reports.
And the winner is Channels Television.
For 8 times, Channels Television has been awarded Best Television Station in Nigeria. And in March this year was declared Best TV Station in Africa at the 2014 African Achievers Awards in Accra, Ghana. Well, the winning has not stopped. The station's accomplishments in maintaining the highest standards in broadcasting and reliable news reportage have been recognized in faraway United States. Last week, Mr. Momoh was invited by the Constituency for Africa, a group of concerned individuals on the affairs of the continent, to be guest speaker at this year's Ronald H. Brown series on African affairs.
We need to convert our numerous communities into information-rich ones. Major educational institutions, including junior level and high schools, as well as colleges and universities throughout the sub-Saharan Africa and the African diaspora, would benefit from a television service that promotes an African orientation. An inspiring and meaningful public service television broadcasting revolution could be launched by introducing a dedicated series of African heritage television, through which a culture of developing civil society groupings will gradually evolve.
And then the main reason he was invited by the CFA. Mr. Momoh is presented with the Award for Media Excellence.
John Momoh Outstanding Journalism in Africa Award. John Olachi Momoh, OON. Chair and CEO of Channels Television Nigeria, in recognition of your outstanding efforts toward the promotion of media outreach and journalistic excellence on the African continent.
Which he receives, accompanied by his lovely wife, the Vice Chairman of Channels Television, Mrs. Shola Momoh, and a few management staff.
I must say that I accepted with so much joy, and this is one of the best awards that I've ever received.
A goldfish indeed has no hiding place. CFA members have been monitoring Mr. Momoh and Channels Television's progress since its inception.
Anytime you go to Nigeria, I mean, I could be blowing smoke tonight, but if you go, just turn on the television. Sit there and look for a while, and you'll see what 30-plus years of experience and commitment has done to promote a greater and more diverse and a stronger democracy in Nigeria.
Others, impressed by the success story, want Channels Television to produce content for the African American community, which will be broadcast on local networks and even in schools and in colleges.
We've got the deans of the schools of communication who are interested. They have television stations, they have radio stations, and I'm just going to put that out there to say that there could probably be some very profitable conversations about hooking them into a global strategy.
I'm just going to suggest that through your vehicle, that we have like a weekly program where you can expose the good works of the African diaspora. We're doing some good things out here, all over. And people need to know it in Nigeria, and I know because they appreciated George Jefferson and his cleaning business that they're going to appreciate all the stuff Mel is going to bring to you.
Former U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Robin Sanders, encourages Channels Television to consider taking advantage of the U.S. Foreign Press Office.
international events, you always see Africa, questions about Africa not being asked by Africans and certainly not being asked in a positive manner. So we need the African media to be part of the establishment press corps here on the ground.
CFA President Melvin Foote brings the award dinner to a close by affirming the group's credibility and the award.
And I can just tell you there's a lot of capacity, a lot of talent in this room, you know. And if we're talking about energy, if we're talking about aggregation, agriculture, if we're talking about telecommunications, if we're talking about doing business, if we're talking about transferring money to Africa, my friend Barbara Spann is here from Western Union. Anytime that we need to get money to Africa, right there. Right there. In many ways than one. You know.
Mr. John Momo attributes his success to God, the companionship of his lovely wife, and persistence and commitment to doing what is right. Those of us at the station say, may the accolades keep coming. Amarachi Ubani, reporting for Channels Television News.
For outstanding journalism in Africa.